Welcome everybody to Mom and Dad Talks. Our favorite two people are mom and dad, and they're somewhere over the rainbow right now. We're trying to figure out what's going to APP on them. But today we have a very special guest, a frequent guest of the show. His name is Carlin Alford, Alco Wireless and stuff. He's also our sports expert here. And today, what we're going to talk about here is we're going to talk about an unfortunate event here. And I think it's very, very bizarre, because you've been hearing about it. We kind of waited a little bit, so we're doing this time here to talk about it. The fact that the Alabama head coach is talking about somebody else's school on how they recruited somebody. But what makes it worse than that is not the fact that he got talked about Jimbo Fisher. It's the fact that he was really talking about Deion Sanders, HBCU school, pulling a number one pick away from Alabama, and most of his rant was to that. Now, this is loaded. There's a lot of ways you can go with this. And Carlin, I want to know your perspective on, because you're right in the area there in the SEC country here. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know what my thoughts are, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
Well, I think it's multi-layered. I think Nick Saban has enjoyed being the big fish in the big pond. And I don't think he has to work that hard when you're fully stocked with 4- and 5-star recruits all the way down to your third string. Yes. Now that he sees that his 3rd and 4th string is depleted, and those guys are realizing that they can be starters elsewhere rather than sit the bench at Alabama, and he can't really do anything about it. I think you're seeing him panic. And I think that's the crux of everything. He's panicking.
Okay, and he's panicking. But why pick on Deion Sanders? Are you playing? It's one thing to play against, Jimbo Fisher. I can understand Texas A&M. That's a rival, right? And maybe even go against Jim Harbaugh. You know what I'm saying? He complained about Jim Harbaugh, and they actually changed the rules on Jim Harbaugh to accommodate Nick Saban's attack against him. Okay, so this is not the first time he's attacked somebody. But here you have, this is HBCU. They're not even on the schedule. And they're ways away from even being a rival to anybody in that level per se yet, even though it's up and coming. Why pick on him?
Well, you have to understand something about college football, and specifically about SEC college football. Rivalry starts on the recruiting trail.
Okay.
They rank the recruiting classes based upon who signs with them in the spring. And those kids are on campus before they graduate from high school, like literally playing spring ball. So it's big, high stakes stuff. And so when you see guys like Deion Sanders winning the recruiting battle, it doesn't matter if he ever even plays another SEC team. They played Ole Miss last year, but it doesn't matter if they'll ever play an SEC. If he's beating them on the recruiting trail, then he's beating them.
But see, why pick on Deion Sanders? He only got a top recruit, right? I mean, I can understand Jimbo Fisher, but why pick on Deion? I mean, what's your perspective on that? I mean, because people do have hints of, he's picking on Deion Sanders because there's a hint of racism, I guess, and HBCU school stuff. People go in that direction. But I want to hear from your perspective there. Why pick on Deion?
My first thought about Deion, though, is that he's winning. He's killing the game. I follow him on Instagram every day. I mean, Deion's flooding the market with content. He's doing his worship devotional in the morning, then his 1-mile workout. Then the next thing, his dog Gunner has his own Instagram page. He's picking out his clothes for practice. It's Deion. It's prime time. He's killing. Keep this in mind. Act like the commercial with Deion and Nick Saban in the same commercial.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yes, I saw that.
Because I think they know, they being the powers that be, that if Deion gets a shot at an FBS Division I school as a head coaching job, that he could rival Nick Saban. I know that sounds crazy. Nick Saban has 7 championships, blah, blah, blah. But nobody has had a meteoric rise at the almost at the D2 level. Yeah. Right. The way that he's created a D1 school. Here's the other thing. Nick Saban likes for people to be in their place. Now, Now, I know that feels racial to us because we're used to people telling us to stay in our place, or when we win, or when we are successful, that there's going to be a lot of criticism of how we got there and what we did.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be successful because, well, you're black.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be successful because you came from here, or you look like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure that's where Nick is, although men from his generation in the South can't get away from the fact that they believe they're better than everybody else. And they're aghast when anybody challenges that in actuality. And that's what Deion is doing. He's challenging the whole system. He's like, I can get a number one recruit.
Yeah.
All right. And he did. And the thing is, they don't like it that he's calling his shot.
Yeah.
He's like, this is just the beginning. He said, this is just the beginning. You're impressed with this. Wait till you see what we got 2 years from now.
And see, before I bring my Hantie's perspective on it, and Hantie, welcome for jumping on today, because it's not the same without my other mom, Hantie. But before I get to her perspective on it, I mean, when you think about it, Carlin, yes, it's a rival, and the tones came out differently. Even though I could understand it from that perspective, hey, I don't care who you are. I mean, he was scared of Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh didn't beat anybody yet, let alone Ohio State at the time frame. And I'm a Jim Harbaugh fan. And, I like to tell everybody, HBCU is not the bottom of the barrel, but you got to understand the whole thing of college football. There's a tiered level of ground that people are operating on. And generally speaking, it's almost like a birthright. Oh, I'm going to get this 5-star recruit because I'm XYZQ school. I should expect it. But here you have another school can actually pull themselves up with these whole NIL deals, and it's scaring everybody because, frankly, people are getting paid now for their likeness and for who they are and making a business out of it, which they should. So, what's your perspective before I ask Hantie's perspective on this? Well,
as far as the NIL goes, that has a whole lot more to do with your top level guys. Everybody's not going to get an NIL deal. Not every player is going to get an NIL deal. So what it guarantees is that guy who's the top level doesn't have to worry about his name, image, and likeness being exploited for money and him not get a cut of it. You know what I mean? And so when that is taken off the table, is it really necessary for you to go to Alabama? Is it really necessary for you to go to Notre Dame or wherever? I mean, if you know that your money is secure based upon your name, image, and likeness, why not go to Jackson State? Why not go to FAMU? Why not go to Alabama A&M? Why, you know what I mean? Why not go to Grambling? You can still, I mean, there's tons of HBCU guys in the NFL. So the path is the path, but you don't have to worry about losing out on money. And that's what schools like Alabama and Notre Dame do. The only way for you to make money at this is for you to come to our school and go through our system. Well, now it's no longer the case, and he's panicking.
That's a great perspective, because at the end of the day, I can go to anybody who can coach me up and get paid and get an education. So it's a whole big ball game. So
Todd, real quick. Todd, real quick. Yeah. The young man who left Alabama, or his commit to Alabama, went to Jackson State to play with Deion, is a cornerback.
Yeah.
And so for Saban to not recognize that the greatest cornerback in the history of the game, who's a head coach, could attract somebody who wants to go play and learn at the feet of the best ever to do it, like that completely went over Nick Saban's head.
But Carlin, what even makes it even deeper than that is this: the standpoint of Deion Sanders already produced products in the NFL through his system.
Yes.
So, I mean, come on. I mean, if I were a cornerback, learn from the best ever, and you've already shown that you can produce, and I can be that good, I'm going to learn from him too. So you bring up a great point. While people are fearing, the reality is you're going to have to coach better. The reality is you're going to have to get more guarantees. The reality is you're going to have to really look at paying people for what they're worth versus taking advantage of them for what they need. And so before we get to that, Hantie, what is your perspective on this here? This is Mommy and Daddy Talks.
And would it surprise you if I had not listened to the news to know I know Deion Sanders. I mean, I know of him. He wouldn't know me if I walked in his doorway. Uh, but I think whatever he has chosen,
Mm-hmm.
I know that he has thought it through.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to let anybody take advantage of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what the system has wants to present to him,
Mm-hmm.
and it's up to him to to protect his profile, how they see him, how they can um, get over on him, whatever. He's not gonna let that happen.
Yeah, and thanks, Hantie, for that. I really appreciate that perspective. And I'm going to get back to this because this is what I want to ask Carlin here. Deion Sanders, in a short amount of time, took an unknown school, regardless of where it's from, and turned it into the talking point of the whole entire nation and turned the whole league that he's trying to help build everybody up and said, let's make this game better for everybody. And why would someone be mad? Well, I can understand why someone would be mad, because if you upset my fruit basket and how I do stuff, now I got to change and have a better fit. I mean, that is a scary opposition. And you pointed out so well. So, before we move on from this, what are your thoughts that, okay, not only Nick Saban is scared, but you got a lot of other people, which also, believe it or not, kind of comes in a backdoor thing where a lot of these ex-NFL guys not getting opportunities to coach now are going to have a faster way of getting up the coaches' ranks than before. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, this is intricate, so try to follow me on this.
All right.
Some of these ex-NFL players that want to be head coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have an asset that a lot of people don't take into consideration. Their sons. LeVar Ball. Everybody, we hate him. He's got big mouth or whatever. He's the only father to have two number one or two picks in the first three picks of the NBA draft. One was Rookie of the Year, and two of them are going to sign max deals. And a third one will eventually be in the NBA. But he told you.
Yeah.
Right? And it's, he had too much power. Okay? People forget. Deion Sanders has two sons playing for him at Jackson State. His son, Shador, actually transferred, I think, from Oklahoma State or Oklahoma as a quarterback. He was a blue chip quarterback prospect. So is that now what they're saying now is we're a package deal. My dad was my first coach, right? Mm-hmm. So you're gonna tell me my dad's not good enough to coach me in college?
Woo!
Right? Yeah. And so now what they're understanding, these sacred cow positions that Nick Saban has, even for that matter, Jimbo Fisher, or people who keep coming back after they've done such horrible things.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I don't have to go down the whole list of names, but these guys have been standing on the sideline going, I can coach. And the players have been saying, hey, he can coach.
Yeah.
So now what they're saying is like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. My son, who's a 4-star recruit, he's going to come with me, and he's going to go wherever I coach. So you want him? You got to take me. And get this, not only will I be successful as a coach, I will be successful as a program because I'm bringing you 3, 4, 5-star recruits, even if it is my son. And they attract other 3, 4, 5-star recruits because success attracts success. And the thing is, Saban is a very smart guy. He sees this. Yeah. This is the end of the monopoly.
Yeah.
This is the end of the domination. And so they're trying to fight like tooth and nail. And okay, I'm going to say this and I'm going to leave it alone. Isn't it just like society we've experienced over the last 6-7 years? The end of the domination. And so now people are desperate. So they're willing to do and say anything, be as offensive as they want to be. I mean, he was offensive to Jimbo Fisher. That man coached underneath him.
Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher was an assistant coach under Saban. Saban doesn't care because Saban sees the walls coming down. The walls of Jericho are falling, and he is attacking everyone and anything and fighting like crazy to hold on to his position that he's had for generations. It's coming to an end.
Well, we're going to get one more thing, and then we're going to get off it, and we're going to bring you back on again another time because this topic is not going away easy, I see. Jimbo Fisher gets so upset and says there's skeletons in the closet. Now, that's a loaded thing that he said about his former head coach that he worked for. And says there's dead bodies everywhere. And there's a hint that's a lot of negative stuff. And I've had people who work for Saban. I'm not saying anything bad about him or anything like that. He's not the most easiest person to get along with. There's a lot of reports that come out, and like anything else, you can be nice when you want to, but when you work for somebody, then you find out another side to them. And that's, we're not degrading anybody's name here or anything like that, but that's everybody always has a dark side no matter who you are, right? But that was a loaded thing that Jimbo Fisher said, and he said it with and he didn't apologize for it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Jimbo has to go on the offensive. Nick Saban accused him of paying players. First and foremost, he accused him of outright paying players.
Yeah.
So that means that 2 days from now, the NCAA is going to be knocking on Jimbo Fisher's door. Whether this is a personal beef, the dinner bell has been sounded. NCAA will show up at Jimbo Fisher's door.
Right.
Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that he's hurt.
Yeah.
Nick Saban was his head coach. He learned under Saban. He worshipped Saban, as all of them do. But have you noticed that guys like Lane Kiffin, Jimbo Fisher, you can go down a whole list of guys, that his assistant coaches really don't have a whole lot of good to say. Even Dabo Sweeney.
Yeah.
They've had this kind of love fest on and off, but Dabo has said things recently, about Saban. Saban comes from a generation where that type of man that fits that profile could literally do and say anything that he wanted to do, as long as he was successful. He could step on anybody's throat. He could step on anybody's toes. He could do and say, we're in the open.
Yeah.
And we live in a different time now. And now everybody that realized all the stuff that he had, all the dirt that their head coach had done, despite winning 7 championships, that they were part of the process. They were part of the steps that he used to step on to get to the top.
Wow. Well, you know what, folks? We're going to end it on that right there. We want to welcome everybody to Mom and Dad Talks. We're going to bring Mr. Alfred back. Of course, Hantie is a regular. We're putting an APB out on Mom and Dad. We'll figure out wherever they are. So hopefully they're safe wherever they are. So next time, folks, we hope to be back on Mom and Dad Talks, and have a great and blessed day. Bye.